Yo, 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 we back.
Hey, hey, hey.
We back, man. It's good to see you.
It's always good to see you. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, man. How are things in terms of not things, but how are things in your world right now? How are you living?
I'm doing all right. You know what? I told somebody I'm taking it hour by hour, and my friend said, yo, I'm taking it minute by minute. And I was like,
Hmm.
yes, I get that. So I'm doing all right. I had my week outside the city, and I came back, and the helicopters are still going. It's intense. It's intense, but it is what it is. This is the moment. This is where we are. But I'm doing all right.
That's
I'm doing
good.
all right. How about you?
Likewise, we're living in a movie, but it's real. This is
Yeah,
this is what you call reality TV.
yeah,
Not
completely.
the other nonsense you see on the shows, on TV, but this is reality TV. This is what we've been trying to tell folks for centuries. And now, the new episodes are starting to drop, and I hope people are watching because we need a change. We
Yeah,
need,
I need to get behind and start directing some of these episodes.
please, can you? Can you? We need,
Because,
we need,
man,
we need a plot twist. We need you to come through with some saviors. We need it, man.
woof, woof.
Mm-mm-mm.
No
Mm.
joke. It's no joke. No joke. No joke. No joke.
But yeah, it's good to see you, man. I see you got like some true blue rocking over there. What you got? What you got going on?
This is the Equal Justice Initiative
Mm-hmm.
out of Montgomery, Alabama. Brian Stevenson and the crew put this up. You have the Legacy Museum, which is a museum that traces the history of Americans from slavery until the current day, talk about mass incarceration. And then you have the Garden for Peace and Social Justice up the road,
Mm-hmm.
which folks often refer to as a lynching memorial.
Mm.
Or it's actually there's a garden out front, and you go inside of this, the Memorial for Peace and Social Justice.
Mm.
And it is, one of my favorite places to visit. It's weird to say favorite, but I think it's powerful to take people go through there and have them being educated and learn what it is. So, and then they make the best shirts. With my line of government cheese, I chose the exact same material they use because it's just a good shirt. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
love it. People look at that and go, "Is that an art college? Is that college like Equal Justice Initiative?"
mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
all up in there.
That's dope. That's dope. Thanks for continuously raising awareness for the EJI.
Yeah,
Thank you for that
it
because
was.
like, honestly, I remember last time I was like, yeah, I read the book, but I ain't watched the movie. Now I really have no excuse because they're offering the movie for free. So what I need to do is watch the movie, make some donations, do what I need to do, get some merch. I need to step my game up, man.
Take some people down there with you when you can.
Oh yes, oh yes. I need listen.
Okay.
There's so many things I need to do. Once we are free to move about the country like we used to, yeah, man, that's a stop I need to make.
Yeah, I've been saying that I'm gonna go to everything I'm invited to after this. What? Yes. What time? How can I do?
I'll be there. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, okay, cool, cool.
How about you? What you rocking?
I got on. So this shirt is one that I got out of the crates that was in the storage closet from my predecessor, right? But at the institution I work at, we have a conference, annual conference called MARD. It's the MARD conference. MARD standing for the Mid-Atlantic Regional Diversity Conference. And in this year, 2015, while I was not there, it was, I guess, Lift Your Mask 2.0. That was the theme of it. When I've been at MARD by 2 years I've been at my institution, the first one was See Me, Hear Me,
Mm,
and the second one was Free Yourself.
mm,
So those were the themes for the year.
mm.
And I think that, guess what, this past year, 2019, it was Free Yourself. I'm just saying.
It may be working.
I'm
They may have heard you.
saying. They may have heard, see me, hear me, and then
Right.
free yourself. I mean,
Right.
that's kind of prophetic in that sense. And
Right.
let's keep pushing. Let's
Right.
keep pushing.
Right.
Yes, sir.
As that goes on, I know that conference, and I love to help out any way I can. So reach
Oh,
out and let me know.
oh,
I'm down.
say no more. Say no more. I appreciate you, good brother.
All right.
Appreciate you. All right. So what you pouring today?
Well, as you know, I was out of the city and I discovered a new brand,
Hey now.
and that was like a multiple blend whiskey, and I learned that they have a bourbon whiskey.
What?
So I had to stop on the way back into the city and pick it up.
Mm, mm,
So I'm gonna
mm.
try that today. Gotta dust off the bottle and everything.
Listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna admit it. I'm not gonna admit that I'm jealous. I won't admit it. I won't admit it. It's just like, I saw the Hill Rock before, and you said you had the rye. Now you got the bourbon over here. It's just I can't stand it. What?
Solar age, rather, excuse me.
What? Listen, again, I've heard stories. And
You about
now
to
I
witness.
see it, but I haven't had it.
You about to witness. I haven't tried it yet. I'm excited.
Listen, I'm living vicariously through you and your glass. In your
What
glass.
you got?
Me, I'm still in my relationship with Russell's.
Hey Russell, welcome back.
Still going steady. You know, we got 10 years. We got 10 years still going steady. You know, so that's what I'm getting to today. Yeah. What? I'm not jealous. I am not jealous. Nope. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness, it even sounds different when you pour.
The pour even sounds elegant. I'm like, what? Again, brother, I need a play-by-play.
Well, we gotta get a toast. I'm so into it. We gotta get a toast. I'm like, what we doing?
Dude, I'm into it too. I'm like,
look at that color.
Oh, hey now, listen. Wow. Listen, that's some brown juice.
Yeah.
That's some brown juice. Well, let's toast, good brother, to what we got in our glass.
Yes.
What we have in our minds.
Yes.
The breath we have in our body.
Yes.
What we have in our heart.
Yes.
Cheers to you, sir.
All those. Cheers to you, man. Oh. Well, that was a great show. Thank you.
Great show. Oh my goodness. So
okay, no rock, and it's from the Hudson Valley.
So how was that experience, brother? Take me through your emotion.
Wow. I'm not. It's on my list. Hold on. This is very good. This is very, very, very good. I was reading on the side here, and the barrel was a Pinot Noir, and it's pretty darn fantastic. Asian American oak is finished in sherry casks.
Listen,
this is phenomenal. it's. I mean, I really can. I always like people like I feel a tint and a note. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I have a tint and a note of like it really does. It has flavor. You know, like you can taste that it was made with like care and concern, and it's delicious. It's really good.
Okay, well, I need to make my way to some Hill Rock because you just said aged in sherry cask. I think the closest I had to Hill Rock, my brother-in-law, he shared with me some of his Angel's Envy.
Oh yeah.
It was aged in I think either port wine barrel or sherry, one of them. It was delicious, but that looks darker. So I'm wondering if it has a little bit more of that flavor because, like I said, I'm not jealous. No, I'm not. I'm not.
It's pretty darn okay. Gotta say. Wow.
All right. Well, that's going on my wish list.
Oh yeah.
I'm about to go put in my my distiller app, my wish list.
I like it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do it.
So what we getting into today? What we talking about, man? What's on your mind? What's on your heart?
Well, it's a whole lot going on in the world right now, and I want to talk about a few things, and I'll preface them. I'll prefaca. That's how I learned how to spell it when I was in school.
Love it.
I'll preface them. I want to talk about looting. And this is my quotation when I do that. I want to talk about police reform. and I want to talk about what we're seeing happening in relation to both of those right now.
Mm.
And I'll start with this question. What do you think of looting?
All right. It's a good question. I have so many thoughts. There's, as we say in our spaces, there's the intent and there's the impact. Realizing that everyone doesn't have the same intentions, but there still might be the same impact, depending. And we have to ask ourselves, like we said before when I was talking, I always wrestle between what's rational and what's responsible. We talked about the need for not choosing between chaos or community, but thinking about how we can have a little bit of chaos that might be necessary in order to then build community, how we can rebel and then rebuild. On the show that I do with my boy Josh, shout out to Josh Warren. It's called The Creative Gourd. We live stream. Appreciate you, brother, for tuning in. We live stream on Tuesdays, 6 p.m. YouTube. And I was thinking about it.
What's it called again?
The Creative Gourd. The Creative Gourd.
All right.
And we were thinking about these situations that are happening right now. And I'm big on language. And in terms of my whole perspective, I really think about framing, and usually framing things with language. So when we talk about looting, I said, I don't want to call it as looting per se, in my perspective. I said, how about we call it self-advocated reparations? In some spaces, where folks is like, listen, I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've paid my taxes on time. I've been showing up for work. I've dealt with systemic racism. I've always been kind and courteous. I've had a smile on my face. I built boots, found straps, and then pulled myself up by them, right? And yet, my body, my life, who I am, what I represent is still not valued. I'm gonna go get some self-advocated reparations. Now, there are also people who might be like, hold up, I'm about to go get a come up. Because honestly, I was upset when I didn't get that pair of Jordans for my birthday. And now I see a bunch of people in the streets and that just happens to be closed. And I see people over there breaking stuff and I'm gonna go try to get in where I fit in. So again, there's different people in the streets. There are different people in the protests. There are some folks who are actually protesting. There are others who are being provocateurs. There are actually some people who are for the movement. There are actually some people who are against the movement, but they're trying to disguise themselves or whatever the case may be. We can get into that and go all different places with that. However, when it comes to looting, again, what's rational, what's responsible? Rational is we're in a pandemic, unprecedented time, where I might have lost my job, might have lost many of the things that I needed. I couldn't get, birthdays have come and passed, let alone, couldn't throw no birthday parties. And if you did, social distance, maybe it's Zoom, etc. Maybe I don't have money because I lost my job and I want to give my child something. Or maybe I can't even go to the grocery store because I don't have money to buy food, blah, blah. The government's not really helping me out right now. There's a lot of things going on. So when it comes to looting, I think that, to be real, I always have an issue with folks who condemn looting, particularly if we look at the history of the United States of America, that's how this was kind of founded, based off of looters. They stole Africans, they stole land from the natives, and then they said, hey, we're going to build something for ourselves, but not by ourselves. We're going to get other folks to do it for us for free. For free. So I get conflicted when we talk about looting. I understand that it can destroy communities, and I understand that it can bring about even more trauma, pain, despair for certain places that were already impoverished. I get all of that. All I'm saying is that it's complex and we have to unpack it. We can't treat everything as one piece. But if we're going to quote MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., riots are the language of the unheard. We've been talking for a while and people haven't been listening. They have not been listening. So we're rebelling, and we might also smash some stuff along the way because, again, in a racist, capitalistic society, what language do folks understand? I've been crying out. I've been silently crying out. I've been taking a knee. But every time I do something, you say that's the wrong way. So how do we get you where it hurts? And in some cases, it's like, okay, we got to affect your bottom line. And I mean, if I'm thinking about it even more so, some folks might be cool with the riots or the rebellions. They might be cool with the looting or the self-advocated reparations. Because guess what? Now they can get the insurance money that they really need for this building, because guess what? They had to close during COVID-19 season, and now this is going to make things better for them. On top of that PPP loan they're going to get, or whatever the case may be. So that's a long response to saying that I'm conflicted, brother. There's times when I'm really about that life, I'm like, do it. And there's other times where I'm like, we have to be smarter than that. There are ways we can make our demands known without doing X, Y, and Z. Or maybe we should think about the spots that we're hitting as opposed to just going crazy. I don't know, brother. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, it's funny to me for you to end that with "I don't know," because I think you do. I just want to get that back to as an older man in the room to a young person. I think last week I would have said I can think of 3 people that talked about it, and this week now I can say I think of 4 people that talked about it. Toni Morrison discussed how she was surprised the looting after the Rodney King incident happened after the verdict was passed. She said, I know people were sitting on their minds of protesting and looting. Nope, I put my fingers up, my quotation marks. That's the word they were using. And she said, I'm surprised it took that long. Why are you surprised this happened? James Baldwin said, why are you asking me that question, why people are looting? Look around. Of course they're looting. Of course they're pushing back and fighting and protesting. Look how you treat us. Why wouldn't we do that? What do you expect us to do? Our back is against the wall. And then Fannie Hamer, she broke it down. She was like, if you constantly beat a person, tell a person no, keep them from participating, of course they're going to rise up and tear everything down. You can't be surprised when you come forward in such a violent way of killing. To go back to your issue of like the bootstraps discussion, in terms of you bought the boots, put the boots on, pulled them up, and then you got killed for wearing them. And also being told you can't go nowhere where the boots are required. You know, like think about that. So Fannie Hamer was like, nah, why? Of course you're gonna tear it down. What human being wouldn't? When you abuse, exclude, segregate, punish, kill, murder, all the things you do to a body and a person. Of course they're gonna run and tear it down. Why is that a surprise? Then I'll bring it to today. This news sister, she's not new, she's new to me. She's an author named Kimberly Jones. I saw her give a rant, and it was hard because she broke down very emotionally afterwards, and she was speaking for all of us. But she went through the history of how we got to where we are. So the point you talked about in terms of like coming to this marriage country, taking it, she used this beautiful Monopoly analogy, where she said, like, it's like you start the game, and there have been 400 plays, 400 games played, and you're finally brought in, and then you're told you can't own nothing, you might get killed, you don't have access to get out of jail free card, you watch all this stuff happening. The folks who've been playing for 400 years who won't let you play, and then say, why can't you catch up? That was years ago. I never owned slaves. I'm a good person. And here you are going like, what's the rules? You know, where are the doors I can't seem to find and get through? And she said this, which she ended with, I thought was so powerful, where she said, it's not, she said, white people should be happy and are lucky to know that we want equality and not revenge. Ooh, that spoke to my soul. Y'all should be lucky that we want equality, not revenge. And I really think that people who live in fear walk the earth thinking that we want that revenge. That was Jim Crow. That was Reconstruction. That was suppressing slave rebellions. That was what France and the world did to Haiti when it freed itself in the early 18th century. And then they decimated that country by denying access. Haiti is some of the richest soil in the world.
Yes.
They're producing amazing crops, and they wouldn't take them. They blocked them out, and it was all because Thomas Jefferson and his people did not want the world seeing this powerful island that was self-sufficient.
Yes.
And had killed and murdered slave owners, saying, you were cruel to us, and this is inhuman, and we're smart, intelligent, great people. They didn't want the world to know that. It was projected as like this evil, rebellious country. Look at how Haiti is. When you think about Haiti, you think about a rich, beautiful, independent climate. No, we get the images of like destroyed by this tornado.
Talk about it.
Economic depression, nothing really of value there. You go to your life is in danger. Is that by design or by chance?
Talk about that.
All of that. So when I think of looting, I go, whenever someone says looting, my mind goes right, and this is everybody. If you don't follow up with the why are people looting and the real why, and you're just stuck on the what, you ain't doing nothing. And I have a teeny, tiny little bit of, I've been looted. You know, I got some package from FedEx, and them man, they ain't nowhere. I spent a couple $100 on some stuff in the East Village. Somebody got them shells. I don't have them, you know. And I'm sitting here like, I'm mad because I ain't got all this money to be losing. But I'm like, I'll find a way to order some more.
Talk about it.
You know, I'll find a way to order some more because all that's happening, my little teeny tiny shells that I wanted to restructure my room, blah, blah, blah. I'll be all right.
You know what? I'm glad you said a couple of things because I'm upset now. You really got me fired up. I'm upset. A couple of things. Well, actually, 3 things. I want to note 2 things. I want to get into some stuff. One reminds me of Barack Obama, President Barack Obama. He was talking about the founding of this country. He was like, y'all do remember that the American Revolution, it wasn't like, oh, hey, so we want to make sure that we had, no. There was violence, there was carnage, there was insurrection, if you want to call it. That was the American Revolution, the foundation and building of this country, on top of other stuff. 2, Trevor Noah, what he lifted up brilliantly was talking about the whole notion, if you want to talk about government, and if people took government in college or they took AP government, talk about the whole notion of the social contract, right? We have a social contract.
Yes.
And we keep seeing that folks in power continuously break that contract. So if you want to break the contract, contract's broken, and we're not operating within the terms of the contract. Terms of the agreement, over. Done. I agree with that 100%. But what struck me when I was listening to you, folks always talking about looting. Yet they're so quick to turn away from conversations about reparations. Like, so quick. But where would the money come from?
Right.
How would we do it? Who do we start with?
Right.
So if we talk about some of the greatest looters, but for real, in history, I would offer you the United States of America.
Boom.
I would offer you the United States of America, or these yet to be United States of America. I would offer you that. So
I accept it.
So, talk about it, right? So it's like, okay, you mean to tell me you have an issue with this, but you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I did that to people for years, and I'm continuing to do it till this day. It just so happens to be that mine's legal.
Yes. It's standardized. It's normalized. It's the way. And if you question it, you are a troublemaker. You are problematic. You are not patriotic. If you question it, you know, all the things, all of it. I think about the behavior and response of that man who now lives at Black Lives Matter's Way in Washington, D.C. His pushback, he's like the walking example of that, living it, like saying like, oh, you're challenging my rights, you know, therefore you're bad and you're evil. or whatever. He's not walking into the brown juice space. That's the one moment moving forward. But I think that the looting question is huge. And if I may turn that into the other topic I've been thinking about in terms of police, you know, and I've been trying to figure out where I am with it. You know, the hair on my neck does rise up when people say, but they're good cops. And I'm like, that's not the conversation right now. It's good, everybody, everything, but that's not the conversation right now. If a doctor has a case in the hospital, they kill somebody with their surgery, is a response, but they're good surgeons. It's like, no, that's for malpractice. Let's sue, get them out of there, take a license away. That person showed up for work, didn't work properly, didn't study properly, didn't do their job well. They should be fined, reprimanded, re-educated, and sat down for a little while. As opposed to, imagine we all stood up and said, well, you know, all doctors aren't bad. You know, some doctors do well. Yeah, we know that. Whatever. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the doctor that killed somebody and fixing that. And then, okay, let's also look at the whole system that a doctor exists in. How did he end up with the ability to walk into that room? Who were the people that put his gloves on to wash his hands and hand him the scalpel to start? They didn't go, wait a minute. He's not ready. Get so-and-so. They're all complacent within that. So I am for deconstruction, and I don't know what, of police departments. Just as we began this, as we began at 6:00 on June the 7th, 2020, the New York Times, not a perfect institution, but God bless it, get some facts sometimes, but that's another story. Popped up on my little watch, and it said, majority of the council in Minneapolis veto safe, can't be veto, agreed to dismantle the police department and find a new solution. Today, in New York City, de Blasio talked about cutting funds for police department. Los Angeles is cutting funds for police department. Now, I'm sure we're going to have the commissioners and the union leaders stepping forward saying, you can't do this, mass chaos. What if we built some new systems that are all about community policing, helping people, supporting people, doing what this institution says, not what it was created for. It was created slave patrols. Let's always come back to that. What it says it's meant to do. I remember the first time here in New York City, I saw all the cop cars. They had a new logo, Protect and Serve, you know, and what it was TLC, I think it was.
I want to say CPR.
CPR.
I want to say it was like courtesy, professionalism, or respect, something like that.
Yeah. Some crazy stuff. And I was like, no, don't do that. You know, like, it's nice to say it, but something I do, walking around, I aggressively go, hello, officer. And it's amazing. I get like you know, what's wrong with you? I'm like, you can't say you're a New Yorker in this moment. You're an officer. You're supposed to be here to protect and serve and CPR or whatever the logo may be for the week. So you're supposed to say hi to me. I'm a taxpaying consumer. I'm sorry if it's exhausting. Get another job. You know, because I need to feel secure and safe.
Yep.
And I don't.
Yep. That's such a heavy question, because there's so many layers. But to the points that you brought up, you know, I was watching the Chris Rock piece that's been pushed around. And it's like, he's giving his stand-up comedy. He's like, yeah, people, every time something happens, they say it's not all cops. Right. Just a few bad apples. Few bad apples. He was like, I've had a bad apple before. It didn't taste good, but it didn't kill me. Right. He said the bad apple didn't choke me to death. Right? And he's like, guess what? Every industry, similar to medicine, every industry can't afford to have just a few bad apples. He said, you think American Airlines can just have a few bad apples? You know, well, he was like, you know, many of our pilots love to land, but just a few bad apples that choose to crash. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. No. I was having this conversation with my brother-in-law earlier. I was like, listen, that whole conversation, yes, I hate when we get distracted from certain spaces, when people are like, well, not all cops are bad. That was never the conversation. The same way when we talk about the flag, right? People are kneeling, not because they're kneeling against the flag. They're kneeling because of the injustice and the police brutality, etc. All the deaths. That's why they're kneeling. Had nothing to do with the flag. Folks are perverting and co-opting the movement.
Yep.
So we talk about that, right? I liken it to education.
Mm.
All teachers aren't bad. There are some teachers, though, who are terrible and should not be anywhere near a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think they should be, it's incumbent upon you to make sure that they do better, to make sure that they're actually not damaging lives, that they're protecting, serving, and amplifying, preserving lives, period. So it's not to condemn every individual within that institution, but it is to actually critique and challenge what that institution represents and what it historically has done.
Exactly.
So what do we do moving forward? What do we do moving forward? We have cries for defunding the police, but let's take that a step further. If we were to defund the police, where's that money in that budget going? How do we allocate that? Where do we allocate it to? How do we make sure that that money is actually going to spaces that's going to help protect and serve the people who are in these communities? How do we make sure that we also call for police departments reflecting and being a little bit more representative of the demographic that they actually serve? I likened it, and I might get in a little bit of trouble, but I don't care. I liken it to like Teach for America in a lot of spaces, right? Think about Teach for America. You send a lot of folks who don't look like the population they're about to teach. And this is probably the first time they've ever gotten a chance to see them, exist with them. And they have all these preconceived notions and things they've seen that make no sense because it's just packaged for, by design, you thinking that these folks are a threat, dangerous, they need to be saved, the achievement gap, all this stuff. Right. You're not really understanding that as an opportunity gap. Right. You don't know these things. So you go into this place to police these children because you're going to save them. Right. And if they start to get out of line from your metrics and your rubric, it's a problem. Same thing with police. You can't really come into my neighborhood if you don't know my neighborhood. Yeah. You can't love, protect, and serve me if you don't even understand who I am, why I'm here. So there's so much stuff that we need to actually think about. Now we can defund the police, but there's still some funding that they can use and still use batons and stuff, beating people up, etc. So we need to call for other things that's very specific. We can demilitarize police. There's no need for them to have these weapons. That's for war. There's no need. So we need to be very specific about certain things. I think getting back to basics in terms of what does each community need? How do we do community policing? And how do we allow communities to really govern themselves in certain spaces? So when I talk about we need to occupy all these different lanes to make sure we can bring about change, that's a piece of it. Because again, at the end of the day, we need folks to protect and serve us if that's actually what they're going to do. But it seems like, again, like I had referenced before, a report that went out, 6 leading causes of death for African-American men at the hands of the police. So are you protecting and serving me? Doesn't seem like it.
No.
So we have to ask those questions and really be very clear about where money's being allocated if we are to defund them. What are we going to do moving forward? How are we going to change training? How are we going to change protocol? How do we have these boards that make sure these folks don't get off when they do egregious things?
Yes to all that. Yes, you saw me pointing and waving my hand. I'm a living witness to all that you're saying right now. Because I think about now that case. I think it was in Buffalo, where they knocked down that 75-year-old man, and he's laying on the ground, his head is bleeding, and they go past and grab another dude. And now that the officers that knocked him down were arrested or fired or something, 50 or 60 police officers resigned. I was like, bye, Felicia, times 60.
Talk about it.
Like, good. If you're gonna leave, if you can look at footage of an old man walking forward and being knocked down. That man was not running towards it. That man was not doing anything that I saw that looked problematic.
Nothing.
And in his former protest, I was talking to someone today who knew him. This guy's a Catholic guy. He's been known to protest peacefully for decades now for justice. I think he's not doing well in the hospital, from what I understand right now. God bless him, and he have his one problem and see what happens. But the fact that those officers, their response is to resign, good. That means you weren't meant to be here. And to your Teach for America now, to go back to police, I think about this often. Think about it. Let's do it in New York City. You got a kid from Long Island, probably a good kid, grew up middle income, lower middle income, which is very different in Long Island than it is in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So this kid is growing up this way, got a bunch of friends doing the same, probably did stupid things kids do. 18, 19, 20, gets a job as a police officer, moves into the city and is in East New York. His only reference for this kind of life was the couple of weeks in police academy, what he saw on The Wire, what he saw on a rap video. And here he is all of a sudden having to police these people. And he does not enter with the thought of like, systemic racism is a real thing, and I'm seeing people who are living as in the result in the wake of that. No, it's just like, oh, these kids are bad. These are bad kids. These are bad kids. Probably seeing kids doing the same stuff he did when he was a teenager, and he got the, hey, don't do that. You know, don't do that. I love you. I want you to be all right. I'm going to drive you home. You made a mistake. Don't do that. He was not handcuffed. He was not locked away. His life wasn't changing real forever. And he's a cop. And here he is, and he can't see that. That's the cognitive dissonance right there that I'm like, that is a problem. You can't see. And I'm a living witness. I was in Long Island with a cop that just got off a 24-hour shift. And like, I kid you not, it was him and his, I was the black person, but Long Island. They were talking about all the stuff they did. They burnt down a junior high school, goofing around once. Like, oh, that's so funny. Then talked about a 15-year-old kid that had been shot by the police. One officer had known him since he was 11. And I was sitting there thinking like, well, this is the same as you all. He was doing stuff. It's like, no, that kid was a bad kid. This was different. It's like, you all burned down a junior high school. This kid was on the corner, even if he was selling drugs, you know, or he was misbehaving, or where he was supposed to be, wasn't in school. You all burned down a high school. And tell me which one of y'all waited till you're 21 to drink. You know, which one of you waited? Which one of you never broke a law? So it's intense. And I think that the Reformation goes back to the education, the deconstruction, and the rebuilding. The whole reform idea, I'm torn, and I go with it because I don't think all police departments are going to close tomorrow. It's not going to happen. There's such a strong structure. I do want to knock it down, you know, but I know that's not going to happen. And I think that my working with it is not giving up or giving in. My working was like, okay, you know what? Same with education, same with everything. All these systems are in place, and we got to knock them down and rebuild. So I'm when I hear my friends say to be anti-racist is to say no more police, my mind goes to, I got to think about that. I got to think about that and what that means and how we do that.
And that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective too, to think about that too, because I'm trying, again, I don't know about you. I never really was the most trustworthy in the sense of trusting of other people, right? Like, I've seen things. I'm a student of history. I've seen this show before. And it's like, you want me to put trust in you. So, you know, people might call it conspiracy, or people might call whatever. But I understand for every reaction, or for every action, there's a reaction. And I understand that there are people in power, people who have privilege, who can manipulate situations. The same way you might see peaceful protesters who are being peaceful, who are demonstrating peacefully, but then you enter provocateurs who are police officers who make the situation even more intense than what it was actually in the beginning when they were peacefully protesting, to the point where people start to respond to that provocateur or that police officer who's entering with excessive force and aggression where there was peace. And now folks in their human nature are responding in kind, or should I say responding in self-defense from who are supposed to protect them, right? You think about that and how that looks in order to say, look at these folks not being peaceful, violent protesters because they can slice and dice whatever they want to put it in the media and push a message.
Oh, completely.
Which then says, you know what, we're going to push this message, which then says, you know what, we actually have to give more money to the police because look at all this disorder. So I say all these things to say that even if we were to think about reform, I'm not sold that folks might not try to paint a picture where it's like, oh, look, the crime rate went up. Oh, look what's happening right now. We need police. As a matter of fact, we need more than what we had before. As a matter of fact, we need more weapons. As a matter of fact, we need more military equipment because look, we weren't here. So I think about back to my whole, policy analysis and management hat. I think about negative externalities from certain policies and things that come up, and how people look for ways for political gain to like really insert themselves in their power and their privilege to say, hey, I don't like that. So we're going to create this opportunity, this situation for my political gain to show you that I've been right the whole time. Right. So when we think about reform, is it possible for reform within a system that needs to be reformed? Because this is an institution within a system that needs to be reformed. When we think about the different parts of racism, I know there's this there's a part of there's something that's being pushed around which talks about the different dimensions, the 4 dimensions of racism. Let's talk about structural, let's talk about institutional, let's talk about internalized, and let's talk about interpersonal. So if you have this as an institution, police institution, when you think about structural, think about the structural piece, like structural part of the United States of America, there's so much pieces, and there's a lot of people who are in the pockets of the police, right? Like the police are actually like getting employed by certain people, blah, 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 whatever. The more and more we can get reform from those institutions, such as the Minnesota State University, if I'm not mistaken, or Minnesota University, one of them, University of Minnesota, so one of those institutions who said, you know what, we're not going to hire them for our games anymore. Like more and more we'll start to get people saying, you know what, we're not going to contract with them. We're not going to do X, Y, and Z. Right. That's how we can start to like really get and galvanize other institutions to make sure we can reform and unpack and dismantle this institution, which also says that these other structural factors aren't what we need them to be right now.
Right.
So I'm trying to think about how can you, if there's, if you have a plant and, part of it's dying, do you cut off that leaf?
Right.
Or do you say, you know what, there might be something wrong with the root? There might be. So how do we get there? I don't have the answer, but these are questions that we really need to wrestle with right now.
Right. That root rot is real.
Yes.
Root rot is real.
Yes. That's a t-shirt.
Water in it, right?
Root rot is real. That's a t-shirt, man.
You can keep on watering and clipping the leaves. I was like, how is this working? Yeah, I think we're at that moment. I'm loving seeing these many districts also stopping resource officers. Come on now. You don't need no police officers in schools.
Come on now.
You need to hire grandma and them. Why are you running down the hallway? You do your homework? Why are you late? That's what you need. And they retired. Pay them.
You ain't never lied.
Pay them. That's the solution. Get grandma in them that's retired at home. Let us get her a chair out front. Where you going?
Yes.
It's only 1 o'clock.
Well, you got class, right?
I'll walk you down there. He belong in here, don't he? What? That'd be amazing. We need the grandma resource crew.
Yes.
Don't know that.
Yes.
Write it up and get some funding.
Yes. Yes.
That'll work.
Yes. You are solving problems right here in real time.
There we go. The grandma resource crew.
Yo, yes, the grandma resource crew. GRC, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't see the light end of the tunnel, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because shit gotta change. We gotta turn this around.
Right.
Turn this around because it is a wreck. And those 4 pillars you mentioned, we really must look at racism in that way. I love that. Structural, institutional, interpersonal. Interpersonal and internal. That internal piece.
That internal piece is a mother. Is a mother.
So beat into people. Beat into us.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And that's the one, and that's that's the most dangerous type. And that's
Mhm.
why it was by the design, right? It's just like you put all these other things in place and they're all dependent upon that one piece, which is the internal piece.
Mhm.
Because if we don't understand that we are not what they say we are,
Right.
then we're just gonna be there in that sunken place all day long.
Right.
We won't rise up.
No.
We won't rebel. We won't demand better. We won't demand equal justice, right? We won't, because we're like, you know what? It's not for us. This place is not for us.
I'll take some crumbs. I'm good.
Right?
Crumbs.
Right?
I don't need the hill rock.
I'm not jealous.
The hill rock. We got to get to the level. Yeah. This is great. This is a good. I'm glad we are talking about this, because we are living a major moment in history.
Oh my goodness.
This is going to be like, well, hopefully, if we do proper, this won't be a day. This will be a course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a degree.
Mm-hmm.
What's your PhD in 2020? Oh, word? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wait, how you get that done? I'm working on it.
Woo!
Right?
Love that. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, and it's eerie, right? Because you think about, the 1619, the 2019 project, right? Think about that, right? You think about those 400 years, and then now, boom.
Yeah.
As soon as we hit 2020, it's like the ancestors are speaking to us.
Like, all right, y'all, we're ready.
Like,
it's
new
time.
chapter, y'all. New chapter.
Yeah, it's time.
Let's go.
We've been standing here next to y'all. Y'all been pouring libations for us. Now it's time to get to work. We still want the libations. That's cool and all, but this time was some follow through.
Yes.
Sip some of that for energy.
Yes.
Get ready, because we got work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate those questions, because those are questions that need to be at the center of our conversations right now, and really thinking about the way forward. How do we unpack these things and also challenge these systems that seem like they're impenetrable, that they will never change?
Right.
So yeah, I appreciate you lifting those up.
Yeah, right on. We need to. I'm seeking answers at the same time. I'm lifting them up, because I believe we can do this together. I just have faith. I really believe. I have to believe. And seeing the folks in the street showing up, and seeing white people go, oh, like, hold up, I need to turn this around and change. I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, sir.
All of it. Rain dance, whatever it takes, all the things it takes.
Absolutely. We take it. We need everything.
Right.
We take it all.
All of it. All of it.
All right.
Yeah, we all need some brown juice, right? Some of them. Not everybody can handle it. I got a couple uncles that don't need the brown juice.
It's like, bro, put that down.
Right, exactly.
Put it down. I'm gonna get you some Poland spray.
Exactly.
Get you some Poland spray. Right. Well, to a better tomorrow.
Yes.
To a better tomorrow, a brighter future.
Brown Juice Barbershop.
That's where it is, man.
Ooh.
I'm not jealous.
The last sip was as good as the first.
That's what's up. I'm glad to hear it. You deserve it.
I hope this ain't problematic. I'm looking at the date, 1806 Hill Rock, Hudson Valley. I'm like, hold up now. Hold up. Who's working the barrel? Who's carrying the barrel in 1806? Wait a minute. Oh.
Some things, like you said before, sometimes you gotta preserve your innocence, man.
Yes.
Just drink that juice. Just drink.
All right, man. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, stay strong, brother.
Yes. What's the show called again?
Brown Juice Barbershop.
Hey.
Till next time.
Take it easy, man.
Peace.
Deuces, as they say. Deuces.
Yes. Deuces. Later.
Bye.